Well, my name is Philip Tirone with Evergreen Financial Counseling. We're talking today about filing bankruptcy when you're broke. Step-by-step guide. With me today, Shawn Devries, Devries Legal out of Florida, here for free consultations or any questions regarding your debt. Shawn, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Phil. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Shawn, filing bankruptcy when you're broke. We have people
Phil, did you
contacting.
really just ask me that question, filing bankrupt, or even make that statement? If people were rich, they're not filing bankruptcy. I
Good,
mean,
good point. But
come on
people
now.
call us. People call us and say, "I can't afford to file bankruptcy." Okay,
Yeah,
and it's a weird, chicken and the egg type of thing, right? So let's talk about that. Like you get people who are underwater, right, on their bills. They can't afford to pay their bills. They're barely making their car payment. They need their car to get to work and back. And all of a sudden they got to come up with thousands of dollars to file bankruptcy, right? How does someone do it?
I think that's a huge misnomer right there is that they have to come up with a couple $1,000s to file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
There are attorneys almost in every jurisdiction and across the country that work on payment plans.
Yeah.
And either some do what's called a bifurcated agreement where you actually pay very little down, so such as the filing fee and cost of the credit reporting down. So you're talking a couple $100s, 338 for the filing fee plus your credit report fee. And then they can break up your payment plan after you file bankruptcy for I know my firm does up to a year. Many other firms do as well. But that's one way. That's the bifurcated. But even if your jurisdiction or wherever you live, they don't offer the bifurcated fee agreement. There's a lot of them that will allow you to, or a lot of attorneys that will allow you just to make payments, whether if it's $50 or $100 a pay period, until you get to a point where you're then able to file. You don't need thousands of dollars to walk up today and file bankruptcy. You can start with very little and work towards that bankruptcy.
And what many people don't realize is when you put $100 down, $50 down, $200 down to retain a bankruptcy attorney, that's when you tell your debtors when they're or creditors when they're calling you, "Hey, I'm filing bankruptcy. Call my bankruptcy attorney." Right?
That's right. I
So,
mean, that's
go
yeah.
ahead.
I that is so critical, Phil. I mean, I get calls every day from clients saying, "Hey, when will the creditor stop?" And I say, instead of not answering that call, you pick up that phone, you let them know that you've hired a bankruptcy attorney, you give them my name and number, and you tell them to call me.
So
And if
when
they
they
continue to call you, you let me know.
and when they do call you, I'm just sort of curious on this. So you get a call. Do they call? Or like
No, they
what
don't
happens?
call.
Huh?
Very, I no, I've maybe one out of every 1,000 creditors actually call and say, "Hey, do you represent this person?" And then we say,
My
"Yes,
goodness.
yes, we do
That's
represent this person."
unbelievable.
But
So
no, they don't. They just
no one
assume
even
that
calls to confirm.
no. Now, I would say again, 90% of creditors will never call to confirm.
Oh my gosh. So
Now,
so yeah.
that doesn't mean that they can't eventually file suit against the creditor. So, or file suit against the debtor. So don't take that as, well, I can hire a bankruptcy attorney for 10 years and I'm never going to have any ramifications
Yeah,
for
right,
it,
right.
because they can still file suit and you'd have to hire an attorney to defend that suit. But the moment that you hire an attorney to file bankruptcy, you can make the immediate call stop.
Yeah. I mean, that's really amazing. The minute you hire a bankruptcy attorney, we're not talking file your case, we're not talking putting your paperwork together. The minute you hire a bankruptcy attorney with a small down payment, what's your smallest down payment you would take, Shawn?
Yeah, great question, Phil. So our payments range anywhere. It depends on whether or not they want to pay us weekly or monthly or biweekly, however they want to pay us. But typically it's right around 200 a month is what but our smallest down payment is about $50 a week.
Okay, think about this. So $50 down payment, you can get the creditor stopping to call you and start the process of the fresh start. That's unbelievable. So the concept of are you too broke to file or I'm too broke to file, I'm too broke to pay for the bankruptcy attorney. That's a like you said misnomer, a great misconception that was probably thrown out and created by the banks, right? The banks want you to think you're too broke to file. The banks want you to think, pay one more payment. You're going to get caught up. The banks want you to think, hey,
Make a partial payment.
make a
Don't even
partial
make
payment.
one payment, just make a partial payment.
Make a partial payment. The banks want you to think, hey, raise your credit score so you can get a new credit card for 0% interest rate, right? It's all a scam. Because the practicality is what we have found at Evergreen. If someone is not able to pay off their debt with their current income in 2 years, the likelihood of this getting paid off is very, 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 very low. And this is where we have to look at different options like bankruptcy. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's still mind blowing to me the misconceptions of what bankruptcy can do for somebody
Mhm.
and what bankruptcy can probably do to most of our callers that are listeners right now. It's just to me it's mind blowing because we have these creditors calling, just make this one payment, just make a half payment, just
Yeah,
you got $20 in your account. Or
crazy.
I think the Philip, the best is where the credit card and the bank account are at the same bank and they just move the money that you need to pay for rent.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
and
It's horrible, horrible.
it's outrageous. It's
Yeah,
outrageous because you need that money to live where you're living, to pay for food, pay for groceries, and they don't need to just take that money and move it over to pay your outstanding balance or your car payment if you're not able to pay that month.
yeah,
And because you know, Phil, people don't go into debt thinking that they're not able to pay,
yeah.
and I think that's a big deal.
Important aspect. Yep.
And because I'm saying, they're taking away what they could use to pay rent, but oftentimes people have found themselves in these situations where they've lost their job or they've, had a setback, they've
Absolutely.
gotten
Absolutely.
divorced
Yeah.
or had a setback in their relationship where their household income has changed and they're
Yeah.
no longer able to live at the same means that they were. Bankruptcy is the easiest and simplest way to get that fresh start where you're wiping most of that debt away and really getting that fresh start where you can breathe again.
So one thing we gotta want to point out also, when someone feels that they're too broke to file bankruptcy, right? And they hire an attorney, like we just said, for $50 down, $100 down, and all of their creditors stop calling. There's one other thing you stop doing. You stop paying on all your debt, right? I mean, you're no longer paying on those credit card bills. I mean, so if you have $300 a month that you couldn't afford on you're paying $200 a month to the credit card companies and getting underwater every month. You stop paying those completely, right, Shawn? Like, what other debt do you stop paying on when you file bankruptcy?
Yeah, so we always tell our clients to make sure that they pay the bills that they need to live. You need to pay your light bill, you need to pay your rent or your mortgage,
Mhm.
you need to pay your car insurance if you have a vehicle. You need to
Mhm.
continue to make those payments, but your credit card, your medical bills, your personal loans, once you make that decision that you are filing bankruptcy, it just no longer makes sense to continue paying those when you can take what you would have paid those and put it towards your bankruptcy case to get you filed quicker.
That's amazing. I mean, that's the easiest way to free up money for someone who feels like I can't afford to file bankruptcy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're not, think about how many, if I think the current credit card interest rate is right around like 24%
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. That's if you haven't
Most
made a late
people,
payment. That's if you haven't made a late payment.
right. And then we're talking, compounding on your late payment, right?
Oh yeah.
It
Oh
just,
yeah.
people are barely able to pay more than what eh, they're barely able to pay that interest oftentimes, if they're even able to pay that interest. But instead of paying that $200 or $300 that you had in interest, you put that $200 or $300 towards your bankruptcy. I mean, game over.
The sad thing is people are hoping for like a lottery ticket, right? They're hoping they with their debt, and many times what we see, they're hoping to either win the lottery or waiting for the inheritance or things like that. And the reality is bankruptcy is sort of like a lottery ticket that you can guarantee to win. I mean, where can you file bankruptcy and release all your other debt and then buy a new car and then be teed up for a home purchase as long as you qualify? I mean, we were talking to our mortgage broker recently that we work with. Did you know you can get down payment assistance programs 2 years after bankruptcy with a 620 credit score? I mean, it's just shocking how it's possible once you file bankruptcy. So I don't want to go down those rabbit holes. I just really wanted to focus on when people feel they're too broke to file, they don't have money to file. Shawn, anything else you want to talk about to wrap this up?
Yeah, I think you just made a really good point with what happens after bankruptcy. And really, if you're too broke to file, get filed. Figure
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
how to come up with the money. And again, being able to stop or going on a bifurcated plan, there are ways to help you get filed. And if you're not working, you have no income, and you still need to file bankruptcy, there's plenty of support out there that may be able to assist you in getting you filed.
Yeah.
The filing and attorney's fees and the cost of bankruptcy should not be the reason that you don't file.
Yeah.
Lastly, don't forget it's a tool. It's a
Yeah.
tool you use to give you a fresh start. It's not the end of the world. It's a tool. Take advantage of it.
Shawn, thank you for your time. Shawn Devries, Devries Law Firm, files all over Florida, and Law Unpacked is your podcast.
That's right. Check us out on YouTube or on any of your favorite podcast streams at Law Unpacked.
Shawn, you're a great man. I appreciate all the insight. We'll see you soon.